You are styling websites wrong if you are still using basic classes and IDs. Look, you are missing the superpower of CSS selectors. In the next 60 seconds, I'm going to change that. So let's go. You see this CSS message code is fragile. It breaks all the time. What if I told you that there is smarter, cleaner, and more powerful way to style literally anything on any web page? Look at this smooth looking CSS code right here. It all starts with mastering CSS selectors. So stick around and I'm going to show you that. I'm going to teach you how to literally use it comfortably as a beginner. So without my ado, let's go and let me teach you how to use CSS selectors, right? So come on.
Alright, here we are on the PC. I already have my Visual Studio Code text editor up and running, right, with all the files, right? I just want to make this real quick, you know what I'm saying? So let's start on. So I have this particular 3 CSS selectors right here, even though there are more CSS selectors to be recovered. But in this video, I'm not gonna be going deep into that. If you are really, eager to know more about CSS selectors, stick around. In the next coming video, I'm gonna be recovering more about that. So without more ado, let's start on with this, right? So as you see this star, it is used to select all elements within the web page. For example, I will open this, right? As you can see, I'm a navigation bar, I'm a div container, right? And all these are dummy. No styling, no any CSS, any CSS styling applied to this, right? So let me start on with this particular style for you to know how it works, right? Great. So I'm gonna start on by selecting all the element as it says right here. It's used to select all element within the web page. So let's see how it goes, right? So you don't need to select anything. If you open your CSS file, what you need to do is to just type that particular style and then open your curly brace and start to write on. So what do we do? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change this whole web page to kind of being black and the text to be white. Let's see how it's gonna be, right? So background color, oops, my bad, background color black, and then a text color should be white, right? Let me save it and then let's open it. As you can see, it selects everything within the home page. It controls everything within the home page, right? Literally, in the real world, project, you can decide to use, a picture for the background or a kind of video for the background, right? So that is what it does in the presence of, styling HTML done, right? So with that, Madu, let's move on to class value. So class value, it is used to select the particular element with the specified class value. Dot, it is used to access the class value. So now we have div container right here. So I'm gonna use this, answer right here to literally style this container so that you know how the class container works in the presence of building website or maybe styling the HTML done, right? So before you can be able to use this particular procedure, you first need to give the container a class name. As you can see, class value, it is used to select the particular element with the specified class value. Dot, it is used to access the class value. A little bit time you understand this very well. So let me give you the class name. First, you give it a class name, that is, you know, the specifier, and the specifier could be any name, right? It could be container. Often people, you know, developers will often call any kind of name, and you yourself can literally bring up any name. Just make sure it is meaningful, right? So let's go and select it up here. Great. In the meantime, let me clean this code, right? I want to clean it and make it default. You know what I'm saying? Let me just save it, make it default. So I'm going to select this, install the container. So to select it, as they said right here, you need to, you know, the dot is used to access the value. So for example, if you start on by calling the class name container, and that's it, nothing will happen. What you need to do is to come up with the dot to specify it, right? And now you come up with your curly brace and then start to style the container. For example, if you want to give it a width 200 pixels, height 200 pixels, and then maybe background color green or something like that, pretty much. And then I just want to make it real quick. I don't know, okay, let me just put border radius. Okay, let's say border 2. Okay, let me do it 20 pixels. I just want you to see it very clean, solid. Let's see, red, solid red. Okay, border radius 20 pixels. I'm just doing it crazy. Let me decrease it to, let's say, 10, right? So if I save the changes and go back to the browser, as you can see, I'm a div container. So let's go back to the, you see, dot class value, it is used to select the particular element with specified class value. Dot, it is used to access the class value, right? So if you call in the name, the class, if you give the, I mean, this container name, the class name, and then try to call it within the CSS without coming up with the dot value, it ain't gonna work, right? So that's what it is telling you right here. Use it to access the value. Dot is used to access the class value. So make sure you bear in mind this whenever you're trying to use the class. Think of the dot when you give us the container class name. Make sure to call it right here with the dot, right? So let's move on to ID. So the ID say it is used to select the particular element with the specified ID. It is pretty much the same, right? Hash is used to access the ID value. It's just like a class, right? Even though this class value often used to select, like, you know, container with large, you know, number of child or maybe children, let's say that. But ID value is kind of like using it to select, you know, a particular child within, you know, a class container. It often used that way, but it is not like that is recommended to be used such way. You can use it as you want. It is just selectors, and you can use it to select pretty much anything within the DOM array, right? So let's move on. So I'm gonna give this navigation bar ID, right? So you just say ID and then you give it ID name. Let me say navi. I'm gonna give it navigation, right? Let me just say it like this, navigation. So if I do navigation, let me go to the CSS file and start to style it. So it is exactly the same way. You need to come up with the class, you come up with a dot, but with the ID you should come up with the hash tag, right? So we just get down here, we come up with this hash tag, and what I don't know the name I call it navigation, right? I give it navigation up. Yep, I'm good. So navigation, I just wanna style it pretty much the same, right? It is, let me just give it instead of 200, I'm gonna give you 100 pixels. The height to be 100 pixels, and then the background right now it should be blue instead of green, right? And then border radius, my bad, we see border should be 10 pixels, right? And we say solid here, it is solid right here, we should do solid gold so that it should be. So let me do border radius, my bad, I'm doing border radius like 10 pixels up. Let me just make it, I just want to make it a real big one, right? 10 pixels. So let's go to the web page and see the changes. As you can see, let me have some padding, 30 pixels, right? So there is space with, let me make it, let's say 70 pixels. My bad, I'm already started. All right, so this is a plus for you. The padding is used to give a space within the container. If we do let's say margin, you could see that it gives a space outside the container. So padding is for the inside and the margin is for outside. If you want to give some space outside the container or outside an element within the web page, it should be margin for outside and then the padding for inside, right? Margin outside, padding inside. All right, so I think this could be the end of the video, right? In the next coming video, I'm gonna be recovering more about CSS selectors. Here I just come up with this particular 3 selectors, hence it is mostly used in the development world, and you can use this particular 3 selectors to build a whole web page without having to stretch that much. Understand? So I think that's the end of the video. On this channel is a new channel. I wish you engage, share it to those who are really interested in learning web development to change life, right? Even though there is AI at this very moment, but AI is just a plan. If you want to be a real wizard in the development world, you probably first need to start with the fundamentals. If you go on to start with AI, you can't just know really what's going on behind scenes, right? So thanks for watching, and I'm gonna see you in the next video for more CSS selectors.